Hey, and welcome to the Harryman Show, episode 66. Today we have the drummer Kyle Baltus from 36 Crazy Fists and Ligature Marks. How you doing, Kyle?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Good. I really appreciate you coming on such short notice. It's really cool of you, and you're a hell of a drummer, too. It's a great opportunity to get a chance to talk to you about it.
Oh, thanks, man. It's no problem.
All right. So you currently been with 36 Crazy Fists since 2012, is that correct?
Yeah.
Nice. And then you're not originally from Alaska with them. How did that gig come about?
So 36 moved to Portland in like 1997 from Alaska. Like there wasn't a lot you could do from Alaska to get noticed, you know?
Yeah.
So they originally moved, they originally moved to Seattle in 96 and tried it there for a year. And then I'm not sure what made them come down to Portland, but in 97 they came to Portland. And so the guys are a lot older than me, but in like 2005, I would say, I was 17 years old and I was playing in bands around town and I met them. And then I was in a band that used to open for them like all the time. And then they took us out on the road a couple times. That band was named Falling Closer. And so I met them through that. And then I became, good friends with Thomas, their drummer. He was just like my hero. He was like my favorite drummer almost ever, besides Tommy Lee being like my number one. Thomas was very, very closely at second place. And so I just used to like study Thomas all the time and I loved them and I loved him. And so I'm making the long story really short right now, but basically when Thomas decided to step down, he handpicked me to replace him. So that's in a nutshell how it all worked out.
Nice. And as a compliment, I see a lot of Tommy Lee influence in your playing too, as well as far as your motions and stick control and all that too.
Oh, thanks, man. That's definitely like all ripped off from him. I literally used to just sit there in front of my mirror and just like try and look like him, cool and stuff. It was funny because when I met the 36 guys, I met them originally because of our sound man. This guy named Rumble. He came up to me after the show and he was like, "Dude, you've got a lot of potential, but you're really not that good at the drums." And I was like, well, what do you mean, man? Because like in high school, I was in the only band in the school, so everyone was always like giving me praise and stuff like that. And Rumble straight up said, he's like, you need to stop playing in front of your mirror and like work on your fundamentals. Your timing is terrible. Your tempo's all over the place. Like you need to get the basics down, man. And you could maybe do something with this. And so, so that was when I was just like, okay, I've got the Tommy look thing down good enough. I think maybe I'll listen to this guy and actually work on my chops.
With him being a main influence, was there any other drummers or bands you kind of like branched off at that point and started getting into?
Yeah, definitely, man. I was raised on like 80s hair metal, Yeah. My dad was really into like 80s stuff, and my dad's a musician also, so there was always music around and like that.
What does he play?
My dad's a guitarist and a singer.
Oh, nice.
I actually just got done filling in I had like 4 shows with his band this month. He plays in a Tom Petty tribute band.
Oh, no shit.
So, yeah, so I got to do like 4 gigs with them this month. But, so yeah, he was always had music on, and I really liked the 80s hair metal stuff. So I was really attracted to like heavy hitting, like drummers that looked really cool. So I mean, Guns N' Roses is my favorite band of all time. So I really loved Matt Sorum. I know he wasn't the original, but when I was introduced to Guns N' Roses when I was 6, like I had no idea that Steven Adler was even a person. I thought Matt Sorum was the guy.
Yeah, and this was before Google, so it was a little harder to get that information.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was really into him. I love Tommy Aldridge, Randy Castillo. I really, really liked him. But then when I was a little bit older and started like getting serious about drums, because I kind of beat on stuff my whole life, but I was never really like serious about drums until I was like 16 or 17. When I started playing then, I was listening to bands like The Used and Story of the Year and like a lot of that Screamo stuff that was coming out in the early 2000s. And they had bunch of killer drummers. Like one of my favorites to this day still, his name is Brandon Steineker. He was the original drummer for the Used.
He's in Rancid now, is that correct?
Plays in Rancid now, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah,
no, you're fine.
He's that first Maybe Memories. That's a great album. I can listen to that thing front to back over and over and over again.
Yeah, man, and he's just got some cool stuff, especially there's a linear beat on Blue and Yellow,
yes.
And it was just like super simple, but like it's almost kind of like Abe from Deftones, like they write a beat that doesn't sound complicated, but the way it's played is just so perfect and so smooth, and it's just like I learned a lot from listening to him, so that was another big influence.
And he was one of those guys that was with that Orange County kind of that vibe, where that tight snare, like right on top of the band kind of feel.
Yeah, dude, and I used to love that sound. I mean, I went out and got an Orange County snare with 25 ply with 4 vents and just cranked the shit out of it. It was yeah. I never had to have it mic'd ever
with the ports.
Oh, dude, it was crazy. It was so loud.
I did the same thing. Yeah, I remember just seeing those snares, thinking they were like relics.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were awesome, and then of course, Thomas. 36's first drummer, he was an Orange County artist, and he had a fucking snare that's actually a pretty famous sound because it was on the Snowcapped Romance record, and everyone always loved that snare sound, and everyone loves that record too. It's probably our most successful album. Mm-hmm. But he had a snare on that record that was like a 14x4, but it was a 50 ply, and it was just dude, still the gnarliest snare I've ever heard. The thing is crazy, but yeah, OC just had that. It was a big sound for maybe 5-10 years there, where it was you had to have that sound,
Yeah.
And so I was really into that too, man.
And they were pretty pricey too. I remember that. That's right when DW started to blow up too at the same time.
Yeah. I went the Guitar Center route. So when Orange County made the Guitar Center models, they were $350. I got one of those. There's no way I could. I mean, I honestly, even if I could afford it, I'm not the type of guy that seems spending over $1,000 on a drum to me just seems unreasonable.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm guilty of that, but yeah.
No, I mean, I definitely understand it. I just for me, I mean, I hit so hard and I don't know how to tune. And I'm not really that good of a drummer, so I'm just gonna beat on the thing. Just give me a lower model. I'll take that one, thank you.
You're not giving yourself no credit. You're a great drummer, man.
Oh, thanks, dude.
So I'm gonna kind of pull back a little bit. Did you kind of just hit the road with 36 Crazy Fists right away, or was it kind of just a local show kind of feel for a while?
Well, what happened was when I joined the band, we had kind of been on a bit of a hiatus. I don't know if a hiatus is the right word, but we just hadn't done much because our singer's mom was really sick. She was dying of cancer.
Oh, wow.
And so he wanted to spend as much time with her as he could before she passed. Mm-hmm. And she ended up passing in late 2011. Mm-hmm. And so after that, we kind of started playing a little bit more. We started out with just some shows in Alaska. Mm-hmm. And it was, we did a 10-year anniversary for Bitterness the Star, their first record. Mm-hmm. So we did a couple shows on that, and then we did a short little Midwest run. But a lot of it for the first 2 years was really just hometown shows in Alaska and Portland. Mm-hmm. And then we went overseas for my first time. We went to England and the UK and stuff like that in 2013. And the funny thing was I was in the band for almost 3.5-4 years before our record even came out, because we had finished writing and recording Time and Trauma before the end of 2013, and then it didn't come out till February of 2015. So we had done a little bit in between that time, and we had done some tours and stuff, but after Time and Trauma came out, then that's when it really took off, and we weren't home much at all.
Now, did you feel like you were growing at that point, kind of internationally traveling, just kind of jumping into a national band? Was there some growing pains in there at all for you?
For me, man, it was kind of, it seemed like a really easy transition for me. I had been doing tours since I was 17 or 18 with my local bands and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry, I thought that was your first one, so I apologize.
Well, as far as like getting out, like really getting out, like overseas and stuff like that, 36 was my first project that I did that stuff with. But I had done, like little West Coast runs and stuff like that. So I had sort of an idea, I thought, of what touring was like.
Mm-hmm.
But I was having so much fun, and the guys and I, we all get along so well that it was a pretty easy transition for me. The only thing that I would deal with every now and then is like just anxiety on the road. I'd get a little bit homesick, and but other than that, man, I was having too much fun to even like notice anything wrong or weird. I just kind of like, it just felt like, oh yeah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This feels natural. So
yeah, like I wasn't trying to get into the negative of it, but yeah, there definitely is a big mental, like growing up as you travel like that. I can imagine.
Yeah, and then like me being so much younger than the guys, I've always said that if I would have like toured and done all the things that I've been fortunate enough to do with 36 with people my own age, I probably would have gotten a lot of trouble because
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, grown up a lot, honestly, but I was a pretty wild kid, and the guys being so much older than me, I mean, like our bass player, Mick, he turned 20 the day I was born.
Right,
we had the same birthday, so
oh wow,
he turned 20 when I was born. Holt and Brock are both like 13, 14 years older than me, so they definitely like kept me grounded. And because they had done this stuff so much before, like we weren't out there like figuring it out for our first time, so there was like rules and tour etiquette that like they just kind of, I just watched how they did things and I just kind of learned that way. So I had learned from people that had done it before. We wasn't like a bunch of newbies out there learning together and making asses of ourselves.
There was organization and budgeting and all that good stuff that comes after the second and third tour.
Yeah.
So we mentioned Orange County. I mean, what are you currently playing Orange County or DW at the moment?
No, I actually am a D drum artist. I play D drum.
Oh, I apologize.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, and how long you been with D drum at this point?
I signed with them in 2012, right after I joined 36.
Oh, nice. And what's your choice of wood? And you just stick with the 1 up, 2 down kind of configuration at this point?
I used to rock 2 down, and then I just got sick of turning all the way over to hit my 16, so I just got rid of the 14. I just roll 12 up top, 16 on bottom now.
Nice.
I like maple. I'm definitely a maple guy just because, like I said before, like I hit hard and I don't know how to tune. So you leave them low and fat and whack them and they just always sound good.
Once again, your drums sound great. And I've been kind of geeking out on your YouTube channel, which I kind of wanted to push. So you have some great playthroughs there on as well.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that was just something that we were trying to do to get some content out. And I always wanted to do more, but it's just like really kind of, there's so much more work that goes into it than people realize. Mm-hmm. And, like if you want to do like a legitimate playthrough and like actually have hit mics and stuff, then it's like even more of a pain.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about sound or anything like that either. So like the funny thing about those playthrough videos is the kit's not mic'd at all. The audio that you're actually hearing is just the audio from the record. But the reason I did it is because like I played on the record and I recorded the parts. So like that's what that's what you would be hearing. No one's ever noticed.
Oh,
but yeah, man, that's just me like basically doing a music video type thing to the songs. But the reason I didn't mic it is because like I recorded it, so no one's gonna be like, "You're not playing that right." Like, actually, I know exactly how I'm playing it.
Yeah, actually, it was dead on. You mean Eagle Eye? I didn't even notice that. But yeah, you definitely. You mentioned you didn't know dynamics, but there was a lot of dynamics in that playing. So yeah, you definitely you kind of it was well balanced in the songwriting as well.
Oh, thanks, man.
So yeah, I mean, were you still using Minor? What was your choice of cymbals?
No, I've actually never been a Minor guy either, man.
I'm getting this wrong today. Sorry, man.
Thomas, our previous drummer, he was a Minor artist.
Okay.
I've been diehard Zildjian fan for my entire life. I actually have nothing against any other companies. It's just for me personally, like not being endorsed or anything like that. If I'm going to spend my money on a product, like it's going to be Zildjian all day. Yeah. It's going to be a Zildjian A Customs, man. That's my shit, and that sounds the best to me. It's to my ears. So they feel the best. They look the best. Everything about them for me is just that's my go-to symbol. Like it probably will never change.
Yeah, I'm also a Zildjian guy myself too, so I can totally relate to that as well.
Yeah.
So, kind of bringing it back. I mean, did you kind of go through the school system of like band and drumming, or was it just all kind of by ear as you went? You know, you mentioned your dad was a musician. Was he kind of coaching you as you went to in your early years?
Well, my dad taught me how to play a little bit on guitar because I play guitar too.
Oh, nice.
So my dad taught me a few chords on guitar, and then I just kind of ran with that. As far as drums, I've never had. Technically, I've never really had a lesson. I was in school band in like the 7th grade, but I hardly went to class, and I didn't want to like carry a snare drum. I'm a really little guy, and I'm kind of lazy, so like I didn't want to carry the snare drum. So like in the assemblies, I would just carry around like a cowbell and just like keep time on the cowbell,
Oh, wow.
and then like throw my stick in the air and twirl. And I ended up like flunking out of band like 6 months into the class. So that was it for my schooling.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I would have never thought. You definitely have your rudiments down, so yeah, I would have never thought of that.
Well, I've definitely, I would shed it a lot, but I never like formally took lessons or did anything. Like a lot of my learning, man, I just played to records, and I would literally like watch Thomas, our old drummer, like as much as I possibly could. Like I loved him so much, and just anything that he did, I wanted to be able to do. He's got so much creativity and finesse behind the kit. So watching him with like the ghost notes and certain ways he played certain beats, like I picked up a lot from that too.
Oh, nice. Now, if you were to name a couple of essential albums to learn to someone coming up now, what would be like your go-to 5 albums to learn rock or metal drumming at this point?
Oh shit, man, that's
No,
well, I'd have to say, there's pros and cons to the ones that I'm going to say, but for me personally, they helped tremendously develop like how I play and stuff like that. But like one of them is definitely like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction. That's just such a classic rock album, and there's not a bad song on it. The only thing that you're gonna learn when you play along with that one is that Steven Adler's tempo is all over the place.
Yeah.
So, so if you want to learn like your meter, don't practice to that record. Another record that I love, just because I'm such a Tommy Lee fan, I think Shout at the Devil has just got some seriously good rock drumming on it. Mm-hmm. Like even the way that it's just like Too Young to Fall in Love just opens with that beat, and like the simple rock beat, but the way that Tommy Lee can play it and make you want to dance to just him playing a beat. He's got that bounce, and like I learned a lot from the feel, from like the way Tommy plays and kind of pushes and pulls stuff, and is like not sloppy at all, but has like a sloppy kind of swagger to it, and
like a swing.
Yeah, totally. So there was that.
And not to interrupt, you mentioned meter. Do you currently play with the click, or did you start with the click right away, playing with Crazy Fist?
Never practiced to a click or anything like that. We don't play to a click live. We always record. We always record to one. But actually, the only band that I've ever really used a click track for live is when I was filling in for Light the Torch recently before COVID. I used a click track with them, but that's the only band I've ever used a click with. I always record to one, but I don't usually use them live.
Yeah, it takes out that live feel quite a bit too as well.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I worked on a lot, because I don't particularly like, it's not my choice to play to a click, Mm-hmm. When Rumble was telling me, my tempo is this, my tempo is that, like that's when I really started hunkering down and playing along with records and trying to be right on that beat. So like I never practiced to a click, but I would practice to records that were recorded to a click. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of in a sense the same thing.
Yeah, it ideally is, and it less technology back then, so you had to deal with it as well.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like the whole practice routine, like my practice was just playing. Like I never sat down and worked on rudiments or like, I mean, the only rudiment I know is like the paradiddles. Like I don't know anything. I don't know anything else. I don't know. I couldn't even tell you what like a rat on the queue is or anything like that. Like I literally have no idea.
Oh yeah, you had me fooled, because I thought you were pretty well versed. So like,
no man, I'm like, people ask for lessons a lot, and I'm just like, dude, I'm not the guy. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. I thought you were pretty well versed, and I mean, as a compliment, to be honest with you. But yeah, you
No,
definitely.
I appreciate it, man. And actually, as far as music theory, I probably know like 100 times more about guitar and like musical theory on the guitar than I do on drums. Like I really don't have much of a clue on what I'm doing.
Do you think that helps you with songwriting, kind of having the guitar knowledge too, kind of knowing when to, back off and get on top of things?
Oh, it's 100% helped me personally. Like, um, it it's made me understand, like, just like you were just saying, like not to step on certain parts. And I'm also one of those drummers that like I feel like I know my place as a drummer, and my place as a drummer is to hold it down and not about me. I'm just I'm there to be the backbone, and
Yeah.
so I'm not one of those guys that's like I really think that this fill needs to be there if it's like some rad vocal part and I'm just like shredding over it and just like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. There's always a time to shine and when to back off. But
Totally.
I kind of cut you off the essential album. Did you have any more that you'd like to mention?
Oh man, well you were mentioning that used record. That's definitely one of them.
Oh, I love that.
Steineker,
I
like
love that
his
album.
creativity on that and just his power, and man, it's so good. That is definitely one of them.
Yeah. And a side note, that's what kind of influenced me to start getting into splash cymbals as well too.
Dude, me too. Like I was always like, nah, man, I need big cymbals. I'm a rock drummer. I don't need a splash cymbal. And then I would hear like him and Thomas use it as like little accents. I'm like, oh, fuck, I need to get one of that.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely made an impact on just the accents and know when to kind of do the quick stuff.
Totally.
Yeah.
I guess I have to throw in, like you got to have like Around the Fur or White Pony in there or something like that. Anything Abe, like
Digital Bath.
drummers. Yeah, man, if you're gonna play rock, you need to get into Abe. He is one bad dude.
Yeah,
but then, oh man, I can't leave this out because it was an influence to me a lot later, But Ken Shock from Candiria.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember what the record is called. I believe it's their first one, but it's the one with like the picture of the van wreck that they got in on the front.
Yeah, I remember.
But there's just the way that dude plays, man. He is just such a fucking savage.
He has he has like a really spread out setup too, and he's like just all over it. It's
yeah, man. The way he approaches drums is just so much more like scientific than me.
Yeah,
and he just, God, he's good, man. He writes some cool stuff. Really, really cool stuff. So I would definitely check him out.
Yeah, well aware of his stuff too. I don't know who he's currently playing with, but he's definitely one of those underrated guys, as well as Abe is too.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that Ken is definitely more on the people don't know who he is spectrum than Abe. But yeah, Ken is just like, I don't know, man. Even just the intro lick to that song Blood is just like this nasty snare roll into this beat, and then it just comes in crushing. It's just fucking cool the way he does it, man.
Yeah. So I kind of want to touch base on the other projects. Are you currently still in Ligature Marks as well?
Yeah, I play in a band called Ligature Marks in town, and then I also have another band in town that I play for called The Loyal Order.
And what type of genres are those?
So The Loyal Order is mostly, I would say it's more like, it's more marketable as far as like radio stuff. Like we're just kind of a straight up hard rock band,
Yeah.
But no screaming, no nothing like that. Some powerful yells at times, but nothing like screaming. And then Ligature Marks, our EP is pretty metal. But the new stuff we've been working on is a little bit more dynamic, got a little bit more melody going on into it. And so, yeah, you can check both of those out if anyone wants to. We're all on Spotify. So,
and what's the name of that LP?
The LP, or the EP actually for Ligature Marks is called Set Oceans on Fire.
Okay.
And then The Loyal Order has an album out that's, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's just self-titled.
Now, I know we all have been on hiatus, but is there any plans to go play any shows with those two projects as well, or go on the road with them?
Ligature Marks right now is actually in search of a bass player. So we need to find a dude to lock the rhythm section down with me.
Okay.
But we do have a new song coming out shortly and a new music video that we just shot. So once those are done, that will be coming out soon.
And that's
The Loyal Order, actually, what's that?
And that will be on YouTube as well. I kind of want people to check it out.
Oh, yeah, definitely on YouTube, Facebook. instead. It'll be on all the platforms.
Oh, nice.
The Loyal Order, actually, we kind of just started like right before COVID hit. So like in the summer of 2019, I joined the band, and we had one show in September, and then I went out on tour with Light the Torch, and then came home for Christmas, and then went back out with Light the Torch, and then got sent home for COVID. So the Loyal Order only had one show, and then we just played our second show actually this last August.
Okay.
And that was really fun. That went well. But as of right now, that's all we have. We actually have a show in March, but that's like super far away.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I think Loyal Order is just getting back into the studio. We're going to start writing some new stuff for the next album. And then Ligature Marks is also in the studio working on some stuff and just trying to find a bass player.
Yeah. Damn. We talked about your Essential. I mean, is there any up and coming guys that you would recommend checking out too as well that you've kind of seen on the road or just seen on YouTube?
Well, my dude, his name's Junior. He plays for All Hail the Yeti, a band from Hollywood.
Nice.
They've been around for a little bit, but he's so nasty. He's just like heavy hitting, sick fucking rock drummer, man. I love watching him. He's just one of the coolest dudes I've ever met too. I love hanging out with that guy.
Oh, nice.
So I would definitely recommend checking out him if you like just like heavy ass fucking cool looking. Basically, the dude could have fit right in the 80s. Like he's just got that style, and he's a savage.
Nice.
I haven't checked out his band a whole lot, but I believe his band's called Artifacts or Art. I'm sounding like such a dick right now. I should know more.
No,
but
I do the same thing.
but the kid's name is Jared Wainscott, and I actually I did a drummer podcast this summer and met him on that thing, and he's a younger kid. His band's just starting out, I believe, and man, he is fucking sick. Like super tasteful.
Yeah,
he's got some nasty chops, man. He's very, very cool. And then another last one, I guess I'll say, is my buddy Ruben. He plays in a band called Tetrarch.
Okay.
We met them. We were out on tour with Devil Driver in 2017, and they were on the tour with us. And since then, they have just continually worked their ass off, man. They're really starting to make some noise and get some recognition. So definitely check out those guys. And Ruben is man, I think he's only been in the States for like 4 years. He didn't even know English when he got here. It was crazy, but man, he's a fucking savage. He's a very, very, very dedicated, disciplined, and just like fucking great drummer. So yeah, those would be my three: Junior and Jared and Ruben.
Yeah, I'll definitely check those out. But Kyle, I know you're a busy guy, and I really appreciate you coming on. I know you have a lot of cool things in the store this next year. I really appreciate it, man. I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking about it.
Hey, no problem. I appreciate you having me, man.
And like I said, check out Kyle's other two projects, Ligature Marks and the Loyal Order. As you said, the EP will be on there, and he's got a new recent video coming out. So once again, thanks, Kyle.
Hey, no problem, dude. Thank you.
Yeah.